Hi, this is Troy. I work with 9B and Neighborhood Explorer on app design and project management, and I want to give you a quick tour of the new app concept we're thinking for the Neighborhood Explorer design. So we love your feedback. So we want to make the app really approachable for people who may not have a lot of data experience, but also powerful for people who want to dive deep into the data. So you may be looking at the map of Oklahoma City or Tulsa, and you can see these red and green points of interest. So these are areas where certain stats have the highest value for that stat. So for example, Windsor Park has the highest chronic absenteeism, so that's why this pin is here, and if we click into that, we can see the data visualized. We can also see popular neighborhoods at a certain zoom level, and so if we click into those, we can learn more about those neighborhoods. We could dive into a certain category. If somebody's just interested in education, we can see all the stats and orgs and neighborhoods related, and we can also see the map is filtered down for those types of things. And we can also search for a specific term or terms just to filter down all of the stats and orgs and neighborhoods in the system by those terms. Or maybe somebody just has a list of areas like zips that they want to drop in, and they could pin those, and then later in different parts of the UI they could see those pinned areas reflected maybe in an export for CSV or other use cases. So let's look at the chronic absenteeism, and we can see we really want people to visualize where the needs and progress are in the city, and for people to come together around those gaps. So somebody might be looking at orgs, like for example task OKC here is in an area where there's high need and there doesn't seem to be a lot of other orgs working. So here there may be 8 orgs, but there's just one. That's why we're seeing their logo. And we can see these are the most active orgs in this stat who are trying to affect this stat, or we can see neighborhoods who have high challenges in this stat. So say we want to dive in and learn more about this org. I wanted to mention too here in the top left some quick details about that stat, so trends over time, high level situation. So if we dive into task OKC, we can see here's the stats they've uploaded, here's their outcomes and outputs, and we can see high level details about stats they're trying to affect or neighborhoods they're working in, and we can switch through and see the neighborhoods they're involved in, comments of people who've worked with them or received their services. And if you click into their page, we can learn more details about them, what they've uploaded, things that they're tracking, demographics of the people they work with, neighborhoods they're involved in, related organizations, etc. So we can also look at, for example, this neighborhood they're involved in, and we can see demographics of this neighborhood, related orgs and stats, comments of people who are involved there, and if we expanded the full screen, we can learn more, even more about that neighborhood. So for example, somebody may be looking at the stats that have the greatest variance in that neighborhood compared to the rest of the city. So the most interesting stats may be these listed here for a neighborhood to review, or people working with that neighborhood. Maybe a neighborhood association is going through there, and they're adding comments of ways that they've seen this stat affect them or their families personally. And so we can see not just quantitative data, but also qualitative. And so people may upload images, and people can learn more about the neighborhood. And also here listed organizations that are involved in that neighborhood, and so people can browse through and jump around between stats and orgs and neighborhoods. And so if we go back to Windsor, we can also jump into a stat, and we can go into the stat detail as well and learn more about that. And so we can see here we've got a detailed chart that people can learn more about what's happening over time. They can add various types of things to that chart, like demographics and places, and search for what they may be looking for to compare. And people can also, like I said, navigate through these different types to learn more about related things. And if we are not sure where to look within certain pages, or maybe not even on the map, we can jump to the high level statistics view and search through by category or types of statistics, or even add specific areas or substats to compare these high-level stats by. And so people can get a quick drill down into a various stat or find the specific stat they're looking for. And then they could also add those to their dashboard and see, for example, ones that they care about in Neighborhood Explorer, or maybe ones they've uploaded in whichever visual makes most sense for them. And they could share those dashboards and collections with other people. And they could also see updates for ones that they care about, or they could manage their own stats that they've uploaded, their orgs, and so that would all happen from the logged in dashboard view. And that's basically it. So we hope that you could give us some ideas, things that may have jumped out to you, or things that you'd want to see us dive more into. And so really appreciate your time. Thank you.